Okay, we will get started in 1 minute. Please make sure you put your name in the chat, including your organization, so we can put you on our sign-in sheet. This video will also be uploaded to our current opportunities page in case you want to view it for later on this evening, as well as our sign-in sheet. That's why it's very important that you include your name and organization, especially for our subcontractors, for networking purposes. So please make sure you do so. And I want to welcome everyone to the Belmont Cragin Elementary School, contract number C1599. This is the pre-bid and technical review meeting. We are going to have a packed agenda today. We're going to do introductions. We're going to introduce and take notes on our eligible bidders, which are Class A contractors. We're going to go over our procurement details, our contract compliance rules. We will go into a project review and a technical review, and then we will have Q&A at the end. So I first want to make sure that we go over our pre-qualified list after I introduce some of our partners. We have PBC staff on the line. I'm going to stop sharing for a moment so I can see. I am Lori Lipson, Chief of Staff for the Public Building Commission, and Patty is on the line, who is the contract officer. She's waving. I'm going to try to not do gallery view. We have Ray Gitteroff, the Chief Development Officer, Cal Lejeune, who is our design guru, who will be giving some project overview. We have Patrice Dole, who's over compliance. And we have Paulo Hernandez, who will be the project manager for this project. We have a couple more staff that you'll see in the chat, but those are the folks that will be answering any questions you may have during the presentation. We also have our partners at CPS on the line. I see Brian's on the line. He is, I think, the director of new construction. If I didn't mess up your title, Brian will send me a text to say I did. I know Ed Barks on the line, Ariel Vodka. I'm not sure if I missed any other CPS folks that need to introduce themselves. Okay. So I am going to later turn it over to Todd Nemick, who is from SMNGA, who will go over some of our tech review. For our pre-qualified general contractors, you might want to take the time. If you are on your phone, you might have to press *6 in order for us to hear you. So I'm going to go ahead and call out. If you represent one of these firms, please let us know so we can indicate it on our sign-in sheet. Is there anyone from Albright Construction Company on the line? Okay, Barton Malo.
Hello, Shannon Dilworth.
Okay.
And Shannon Brokenshire here.
Thank you. Berglund. Blenderman. Burling. Can you repeat that?
Dawn Bonema with Burling Builders.
Thank you. Is there anyone from Clark Construction? Development Solutions? Passion? Friedler? Henry Brothers, Hunt Construction, McHugh Construction, K.R. Miller,
Yes, Andy Icorn, K.R. Miller.
thanks Andy, Madison Construction, Old Vet Construction, Path,
Here, Debbie Aker, Path Construction.
okay, Power Construction, Power and Sons, George Solid, Turner, Tyler Lane,
President Javier Garcia and Vince Michaela with Tyler Lane Construction.
thank you, Ujama, Veneer, W.E. O'Neill, and Walsh. Did I miss any general contractors that are listed on the screen? Okay. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start on the procurement details. This project is located at 6112 West Fullerton Avenue. It is a approximately 85,000 square foot building and a gym that will be linked to a Park District field house. And I forgot to introduce our partners. I'm not sure if I didn't see them on in the chat. From Park District is also one of our partners on this project. We will be demoing an existing one-story gym wing. We will have site development. We'll have some Park District interior renovations that will link the fire alarm system and utility upgrades. We will have a multi-purpose cafeteria, gym, auditorium to serve the new elementary school and the existing Park District programming and activities. Cal will go into more detail on that when we switch over to the tech review. There are three things I want to make sure that everyone is aware of. We have 2 milestones and 1 substantial completion. So milestone 1, which Todd will really dive into on our phasing plan. That milestone will be due December 31st, 2021. And then you have our milestone 2 and substantial completion. Both have the same time frame of August 5th, 2022. And again, we're going to re-emphasize this once we get into our phasing plan, but those are the dates for this project. As you can see, the liquidated damages for the project, which include all milestones and all substantial completions, would be $2,500 per day. For all the general contractors or subs or assist agencies, the documents are available online with Cushing. The contact information is on the screen. This PowerPoint, along with the video, as I stated earlier, will be linked on the current opportunity page where you can easily go through. And in case the words are super small and you're older and you can't see like me, in addition to that, the assist agency list is included. They have access to the plans as well. We will have our tech review meeting immediately following this procurement detail overview. For this project, we have not scheduled an official site visit. However, if bidders want to inspect the site, the field house is open from Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Please make sure you look at Chicago Park District's website. You have to make sure you have your appropriate PPE and to comply with all COVID-19 and CDC guidelines. The sole point of contact for this project is Patricia Montenegro. Her email is located at the top. We are aiming and hoping for all questions to be in on April 27th by 4:30 p.m. if possible. So far, we have not received a lot of questions. And so hopefully after this presentation, you will expeditiously provide those to Patty so we can compile them and answer them in an addenda if that is necessary. Currently, the due date is May 6th at noon. We will have a virtual bid opening. We will stream it actually live. We will probably not have folks join the virtual meeting. As I look at this, I will probably just stream it and read off because it's a lot of work on our end to do it virtually. What we do want to go over are two things. We recently had a bid during COVID. And we did offer that if you would like to drop off your bid, we will be in the office from 9:30 to the time of the bid opening. We are imploring and asking that we prefer electronic submissions if possible. I think it's easier for both parties. I do want to remind everyone that the Daily Center is open. However, there's more screening that you have to do to get up to our floor. In addition to that, you need to make sure that you get there on time and able to go through all the COVID protocols as well. So we are hoping that you would submit your bid electronically. You only have to send, obviously, the one PDF. We're hoping that you would sign in blue if possible. You would include your bid bond scanned, and you would also include your bid form. What we will talk about later when we get to the bid form is that I know we submitted it PDF, but Patty, as things move forward, will provide you with a fillable form in Excel as well, so you can send that. Please send them to both emails, bids@pbcchicago.com and Patricia Montenegro at cityofchicago.org. We anticipate that we will have a pre-award meeting on May 7th at 11:30 a.m. Again, all of these dates are tentative, and you want to make sure you look at any addendum that comes out. We want to take this to our May PBC board meeting, which currently is scheduled for May 11th, but those things change as well. So you want to make sure that you keep alert of all addenda. So we're going to go into some of the things you need to make sure you do for book 1 and book 2 when you do have a chance to read it. And I'm hopefully we'll have some robust questions. The construction budget for this project is $34 million. Currently, we are asking that there is a separate project manager and a separate project superintendent. So you want to make sure you take a look at that. For our scheduling software, we prefer P6. If you have issues or concerns about that, please make sure you include that in the addenda. We went over the liquidated damages. And the other part we want to mention is this project is subject to the project labor agreement. And so you want to make sure that you adhere to all union rules in that agreement. And a little different than we have before. If you click on the link, you can read the project labor agreement. We are very excited about this project, and we are really encouraging folks to come together to make this project a diverse group of contractors. And one way to do that is to possibly joint venture. So right now, I think we only have 5 or 6 general contractors that said their name during our introductions, but you have the ability to joint venture with any firm. If you choose to joint venture, you're going to make sure you fill out this Schedule B, which is the joint venture affidavit. You're also going to supply us your joint venture agreement so we can review it. If you are going to joint venture with a MBE firm or a WB firm, please include their certification letter, or you can include the city's website. You could just do a print screen for those dates. Again, we are encouraging folks to come together on this exciting project in this diverse neighborhood. For this project, you will also see an award criteria sheet that you must fill out. Again, the maximum is minority, journey worker, apprentice, and labor, and the maximum for female is journey worker, apprentice, and labor. You want to make sure that you are making a wise decision when you fill out the award criteria. I want to remind everyone, this is voluntary. So when the general contractor puts in that I'm going to do, let's say, 8% minority journey workers, that is the general contractor promising us that's what they're going to achieve. Again, this is voluntary, so I would really look at the scope. I would really look at the subs as you receive your internal bids as they come in and see what is possible for you. If you feel like some of the work does not include, for example, let's say labor work is not included, which is not in this case, I would really take time to make sure it makes sense what you're putting on the form, because that will be it. There's no going back. So you want to make sure you take a look at that. For this project, we have a 7.5% community hiring goal, and of course the city's 50% project labor goal. The other thing that is different in this particular bid, there is a section, it is on page 22, that you're going to fill out. You must fill this out in order for us to deem your bid responsible. So you're going to fill out the wrecking and demolition contractor, your stormwater detention tank, steel erector, steel fabricator, and elevator. After these, if you are deemed the lowest responsible bidder, we will ask that additional information be provided, whether it be AISC certifications or any other details will be due a couple days later. But please make sure that you fill this section out. It's on page 22. This is the community hiring map that we have for the project. As you can see, it's in the Belmont Cragin area. So to keep your keep everything for your community hiring and to really think about the community you're in. The most important part for those trying to make sure they're a successful bidder is the bid form. So thank goodness we don't have 55 alternates like we have been recently. We have, you're going to fill in the total base work, which is line 1. And you're going to add line 1 through 6 to get you a total of line 7. You're going to make sure if you fill it out electronically, the total award criteria will automatically populate for you. So you don't have to do 2 things at the same time. If you do it via PDF, please ensure that you transpose the right numbers to each form. Remember, on your bid form as well, you're going to make sure you fill out that surety information and bidder information. Everything is perfectly color coded, as Patty loves to do, if you have questions. So again, the numbers 2 through 6 are not for you to fill out or not for you to change. You want to make sure that also we will be adding those up. We also will be making sure that your math is correct. Filling out the basis of award, you want to make sure that what we talked about. So if you fill in 70% here or 7% here, you want to make sure your decimal is in the correct place. So we've had that. And we want to make sure if it's 0, you keep it at 0. So you're going to fill this part out, which will automatically give you the total down here in the bright green line. And so make sure you fill that out appropriately. Again, this is voluntary. So when we get to the pre-award, even before the meeting, please don't say, Lori, can I change these numbers? You want to make sure that you're solid on these, I'm going to call it like light moss green areas that you're going to fill out. Again, you're going to make sure you fill out the bidder's information at the bottom of the form as well. This project is a little bit different. You're going to have MBE and WBE participation, but you can get that with all MBE, all WB, or any combination thereof. So make sure you take a look at that, especially as you look at firms you're going to partner with on this project. We only accept city and county certification. So when you go ahead and fill out the form for Schedule D and C, and you're going to look to see if they're a supplier, manufacturer, you're going to make sure all of your percentages are correct, because here you're going to fill out, hey, it's Lori Excavation. She is going to do excavation work, and she's going to do it for $1 million in the following category. You want to make sure that your numbers add up to the 33% for the minimum. Now, of course, we would love it if you have 80%, 90%, all those things are possible, but the minimum is 33%. As you move forward, those same subcontractors are going to fill out the Schedule C. They're going to fill out their name, if they're M and W. Most importantly, they're going to put what scope of work they do. And we tried to highlight, I know it's very hard to see here, but highlight in green if they're subbing out any work, because Patrice will go through that with the firm as well. So you're going to make sure you do your D and C correctly. Again, Patty is the sole point of contact. It would be inappropriate for you to contact anyone else at Park District, CPS regarding this project. You're going to make sure that we follow all the rules. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to open up for Q&A on any of the procurement questions, filling out the bids, how we're going to do that, if there are any questions, concerns. I was not looking at the chat, team, so I don't know if any questions came in through the chat as well. Oh, this is great for me. So no questions, no concerns regarding that. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that as we move forward, please make sure that you put your questions in the chat as we go forward. Todd, I made you a co-host if you want to share your screen, or Cal, are you going to take over for sharing the screen?
I think it's working, Laurie. So if you could provide privileges for me, that would be great.
I believe you have them. Let me see. Oh, you rejoined. Okay. This group is so quiet. It's very irky in the Zoom. So hopefully if you have questions, please ask them in the screen. I'm sure you're not the only one that has them.
Okay, I'm hoping everyone can see the screen.
Why don't you make it bigger, meaning open up the top by the X. Make it bigger, your screen.
I'm working on it. It doesn't want to cooperate today. There's some technical difficulties of mine. Does that work?
It's better, for sure.
Okay. I'm Cal June, Deputy Director of Planning and Design at the PBC. Laurie talked a little bit about the general project overview before, with the size of the building and some of the general components. I'm going to walk you through the location, of course, is 6112 West Fullerton Avenue. We'll walk you through the site plan, elevations, floor plans. The phasing plan will be specific in the technical portion. But I want to spend some time and talk about the unique features and elements of the project as we go through. And then the CPS plan work activities, which be part of the technical review. So just kind of an overall in terms of site context, the project is located in Reese Park. Reese Park is a plus 65 acre area that has primarily park space to the west of the park, and then the athletic facilities that are to the east, north, and south. And we're nestled into the lower right-hand corner or the southeast corner of the site, where the existing location of the field house is currently for the park district. It's surrounded really on north, south, and east by residential properties. And then a little bit, obviously you see the Breaktown Square Mall to the west, and then some other industrial and commercial sites to the west of the site. As a point of context, the top slide is the Fullerton Avenue. If you're standing across the street on the south side and looking north, you would see to your left there, I think the pointer works here. To your left there, you've seen the existing pool house, and the pool itself is just west of that. This is the existing ice ring that is still utilized by the park district, but obviously will be demoed as part of this project. And then to the right, you're seeing the field house, which is a two-story existing early 1900s building with a connected gymnasium to the rear that will be a part of the scope that we'll talk about in a bit. On the east side of the site is Mead Street, and this is looking at Mead Street from the north end, looking south at Fullerton, which is in the distance there. And the field house is on the corner behind the plunk of trees. And then the primary location for the site of the school is sitting right where the arrow is pointing. Just to give you an idea in terms of context and height in Fullerton, what you're seeing, and then in the typical residential street of Mead, with basically 1.5 stories of residential that's nearby. So in detail, the site is a little bit over 2.5 acres that is nestled between the pool house building, which I discussed to the left. There is the north end area here that has the existing track. The field house is here and is showing the proposed for the new school, but the gymnasium that is behind will be demolished. And again, we'll talk more about that in the tech review. We are proposing a dedicated parking lot accessible from Mead Street that will serve both the Park District and Chicago Public Schools. There will be some shared use facilities as part of this project. And in the end, really doesn't affect the construction aspect. It's really just looking at how the use of the building moves forward. There is an existing pergola and splash pad that is in gray here that is being retained with a small building that is part of one of the contributing structures to the National Historics of the site, as well as the existing field house 2-story. The school building, I should say, proposed is an L shape that is attached perpendicular to the existing 2-story field house. Other site elements will include a student drop-on drop-off that is accessible from Fullerton Avenue. And then around the entire site, there'll be a fire lane for the purposes of accessing the back of the building in case there are any life safety issues to the project site. In the rear, some landscaping as well as a play lot for 2 age groups, 2 to 5 and 5 to 12. And then the entire site really is, again, nestled into this area with quite a bit of components that are related to it. And we'll talk about some of those unique elements. But the community has been extremely involved in this project for quite a while now. This has been in the books for several years. And we're now to the point clearly that we've gone past that point. To tell you a little bit we'll move on to the floor plans very quickly. But you see the relationship of all the site elements here and what their relationships are to the 2.5 acres that is the focus of our project. The floor plans, relatively straightforward. Really, the existing field house has some modifications as a result of linking and providing accessibility to the field house, which you will no longer have once we take the gymnasium out, and it is not currently accessible on the front end of the field house. There are two separate entrances. One is for the school building and the other is for the Park District field house. The shared use is the gymnasium and stage that is on the north end of the building, shown in light blue. Support spaces and cafeteria and kitchen servery is off to the west of that gymnasium, while they will use for multiple classes, eating and cafeteria inside the gymnasium with the divider curtain that allows for that all those series of functions to happen. Getting down to the academic wing, this is the administrative portion of the school, again, with clear access to the front entrance. There are pre-K classrooms on either side of the corridor, and then exit access from the two stairwells here and here that will go up to the upper levels. Going up one level, we have the gymnasium stage, which is a 1.5-story space, the 1-story roof of the admin and accessible vestibule areas. The chiller is above ground and it is sitting on the roof of that 1-story, which is the back house mechanical spaces. And then the classroom wing will have the typical classrooms on either side of the corridor, plumbing for toilets for boys and girls in the center. And then you have the library that's on the far end that looks out at the park on the west and north end of the building. The field house itself has minimal renovations other than the access that the link will provide for accessibility through the elevator, and then the exit stair that will be accessed on this particular level. Moving up one more, which is the last level, and the third level has the same double-loaded corridor, classrooms on either side, typical, and then there is the music room that's on the far end, and then the accesses of the stairwells that will take you down to the lower level. And at this point, you're looking down at the roof level of the gym, and then looking down relatively at the height of the existing field house. Roof plan overall kind of gives you an idea of the relationship of all the spaces. The technical review will focus on the air handling units, what's happening to the roof, the drainage, the type, and so forth. And the architect will focus more on that in a minute. One view from the corner. So of course, this is Mead Street that's running north-south. Running east-west is Fullerton Avenue. This is the existing field house that is not part of our scope, with the exception of the connection and link that we're doing for accessibility. To the right and north of that field house is the gymnasium and stage. And then to the west is the classroom wing with the double-loaded corridor, and then the classrooms that are running on the north and south sides of the corridor. You can sort of see here the access to the fire lane that is right between the classroom building and the existing pool house. It will wrap around the site and discharge here to the right side on Mead Avenue. You're not seeing the parking lot, but I'll show you some better revisions to that. This is on Fullerton Avenue, standing on the south side of the street near the pool house building, showing that fire lane that will access the rear. You're seeing the classroom wing. The field house is in the corner, and this is a building that's off the site on the other side of the street. Looking from the rear, from the northwest end, this is that pergola that is being retained, as well as the splash pad by the Park District. That is not part of our scope, but all the landscaping around, including the playground from 2 to 5 and 5 to 12 are here. The fire lane is running on the north end there. You've seen the parking lot in the distance here. And then the gymnasium box with stage and lower level servery kitchen is in this area here. Look at the main entrance perspective. So this is walking down right next to the entry drop-off drive. You're seeing the field house, the accessible entrance that we're providing for stair for the stair and also elevator behind the main entrance to the school building. And then you've seen the relationship of the classroom ring that's run on the side there. So before we go to the technical review, a few pieces of information that I want to talk to you about in terms of unique elements. Did mention that we've been coordinating with a very active community group. I know this is not me, I'm not sure what that is, but with an active community group along with the alderman of the 30th Ward, which is our side north of Fullerton Avenue, as well as the alderman of the 36th Ward, which is south of Fullerton Avenue. We've been working with MOPD and the Department of Planning. Our team has gone through and gotten preliminary approvals from MOPD, from the fire department, from DWM Stormwater for the review of the systems in the stormwater tank. We've reviewed also with CTR. We have gotten approvals from CDOT in terms of the PRC review. And we also have the signed PRA agreement from CDOT as well. So all of those regulatories are effectively complete and ready for the contractor to take that forward. In terms of the entitlement, we have gone, this is a plan development for the project. It has gone through Chicago Plan Commission. It has gone through Committee on Zoning, City Council, and we have the actual journal publication, which was done in March 24th, 2021. The project site is under the National Historic Resources Survey. And this building, as a result of being a contributing structure, will be applied and have application as it relates to the demolition of the gymnasium that we talked about earlier. There are 3 permits applicable for this project. The first one is for the school itself. That address is 6112 West Fullerton. The second application, which is a reference to the set that we're generating for the school, that is focusing on the link and the minor renovation that is inside the field house. Department of Buildings wanted to split those. Those are in for review and has been under review for a few weeks. And we expect to have the permit available and ready by the end of June. Part of that is the last permit, and that's the permit specifically related to the wrecking or demolition of the gymnasium, which has to be pulled by the general contractor with its sub that will have the 90-day hold. So we talked a bit already about the milestone related to August 31st, which is dealing with the permit availability in order to start the work for the demolition of the gymnasium. And I think that's about it for permit. We talked about the preservation of a few things on the side with the pool house building, the pergola, the field house. There are utilities to be coordinated, but we'll talk more about that with the architect with the technical review. The site phasing as well will get talked about. One of the things that we coordinated a lot during this site is at the Fullerton Avenue, CDOT is going through a full restoration of about a mile or 2 long on Fullerton, which is impacting this section of site. We've coordinated, understand their scope of work. They're close to giving us a schedule, but they intend that to happen relatively soon to coordinate when they're doing that work up to the sidewalk. And then we're responsible from the sidewalk in on Fullerton Avenue. And all of that is documented in the drawings that you have. We also, Laurie talked about, and maybe we'll reiterate, the critical subcontractors for the project. We talked about the wrecking demolition, which is just specifically related to the demolition and having the permit be submitted within 2 weeks of award, with the goal of getting approval based on that 90-day hold by August 31st. We also identified that the stormwater detention tank is a lead time item in terms of procurement, and that is important to understand the procurement of that at the time of bid. 2 other related to steel for the fabricator and erector, that the certification is identified for the subcontractor to be able to do that work. And then lastly, the elevator, to confirm that certainly the conformance for the project and its systems based on the documents are identified and understood at the time of bid. So those are the critical unique elements for now. I will pass it over to Todd that will start talking about the technical review requirements of the project based on a series of slides that will cover the project based on the set of documents.
Just a quick note, a couple questions in the chat. Is this project seeking LEED certification?
Yes, the project is seeking LEED Silver minimum certification per version 4.
Okay. And we have a couple people that joined, a couple questions for, there's an Ernie on the line. Can you let us know what firm you're with? And Rose Lee. Can you unmute yourself quickly? Or type in the chat? And last but not least, King of the Rocket League. We're trying to make sure our sign-in sheet is accurate. I love the name. But we also need to know those who are on they're coming in on their phone that we can't tell. Please let us know if you're one of the eligible general contractors for Class A. Just a quick note for Cal, go to view real quick on your screen.
Yes.
Page this full mode screen at the bottom.
Okay.
There it is. All right, we'll turn it back over to Todd. Thank you.
So Todd, you have the option to share your own screen, or I'm happy to forward the slides as well.
Let's stay steady with what you got here. So this is good. Sorry for that. Welcome everybody. Thank you for attending. I'm Todd Nemec with SMNGA Architects. We're teamed up with Forma Architecture as our partner on this project and our consultant team. So we're on the call. I'll try to get this overview for you prepared and welcome any questions you may have. Can you advance, please? Okay. You'll see in the set when you've got an opportunity to look at it that it includes a site utilization drawing. This gets paired with a Division 1 specification, which relates to site operations that will require the contractor to develop their own specific plan for site utilization and fencing and phasing and all the rest of that kind of thing. So this drawing is to be used to sort of prepare it works with procurement documents to identify the milestones that are established in the contract. So with this, I'll zoom into, this is a very important document and I encourage you to take a look at it. So the first document, the first milestone 1 is in the upper left-hand page of the previous slide we were looking at. This is the existing Park District field house demolition and the related work. It's got site preparation, clearing, grubbing, all that kind of good stuff. Some limited remediation and selective demolition activities. So the Park District will be out of the building at this point in time, out of their field house. And you can see that that red outlined piece, that's where the gymnasium currently resides. It is connected to the field house with 2 existing stairs that are of non-conforming construction. And so we're basically, what is going to happen eventually, and I think Cal touched on it, is we're in the link connection, we're going to deal with accessibility and replacing those stairs, among other things. So, but in this first milestone, the site will be fenced, and it is fenced basically to leave the front of the field house still accessible for Park District. Not that they will be in the building, but it's to keep that clear for their request, and to fence the site to provide access to the pool house for the duration of the pool being open. So up at the top of this document, you can see that the pool is open to the public Memorial Day through Labor Day each year. And so there needs to be a path to the exits and entrances on that east face of the pool house that's in black on the bottom left-hand side. And similarly, the utilities that serve that will need to remain operational. The yellow zone that's shown there with kind of outlined in pink, we're aware that there's an existing sewer line that is cutting kind of diagonally in that zone. That will need to be, that's currently serving the sewer for for the duration of the pool being open, that sewer will need to be operational through either permanent or temporary facilities. So want to call your attention to that. With this, we can move on, I think, to the second slide.
Todd, just want to mention that the milestone here, although it identifies June 14th, which is the earliest anything can happen on the site, that in terms of the demolition, the milestone for that is August 31st to December 31st. Just want to make that clear.
Very good. No, thank you. Okay, milestone 2 outlines the existing field house renovations. So the demolition of the gym will then at that point be a piece of the puzzle being dealt with, and the incidental environmental remediation activities will be undertaken. The replacement of the stairs will be commenced, and because the field house is kind of a split level relative to grade, it's basement's down about 5 or 10 feet. The first floor is up about 5 feet. So we're going to do these transition stairs and the new elevator. There will be underpinning required for that work. So be aware of that. The building also does not currently have electrical service sized for the new elevator. So as part of this work, there's new utility service that will be brought in to serve both power to the field house as one service and a separate run to connect to the to serve the new CPS school. So that will be part of this as well, and the build out of the switchgear room to serve the field house only. Again, the Park District pool house will need, through all phases of work, need to be maintained operational from Memorial Day to Labor Day each year. Yes. Also, in March of 2022, the Park District anticipates beginning some of their own renovation work within the field house building. So that's something that will need to be worked into the operations plan as well. But we're finally now on the substantial completion portion of the site utilization document, which outlines the construction, the vertical construction of the school itself. And that also includes some incidental site work to replace the track, a portion of the track at the far north end of, we're clipping the southern end of the track, and so we're replacing it at the far north end of the site, which is off of this drawing. So we have a little snippet on the right-hand side to identify that. So the new school and site improvements, including the public way and street trees and things of that nature, will occur concurrent with this phase as well. So that, I believe, lays out most of it. Cal or Paulo, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Nothing specific from me. Okay.
Todd, this is Ray Gitteroff, Public Building Commission. I think Paulo may be having technical difficulties, but I did want to just reemphasize, I wanted to thank our partners at the Park District and the Board of Ed, CPS, Ivan Hansen and his team. What we want to convey to our pre-qualified bidders is the level of confidence that we have in all of our planning and diligence, not just related to design, but all of the regulatory issues that Cal covered, all of the elements that Lori reviewed during the procurement phase of this, along with our consideration of the sequence of work and sequence of events that need to take place. Clearly, we took into account what it would take the contractor to obtain the wrecking permit. We've clearly laid out a straight line to obtaining the building permit by way of you reviewing the phasing plan. Clearly, we're going to revise milestone 1. We'll reissue that drawing to indicate that the milestone 1 activities commencement date will be no sooner than August 31st through the end of December this year, and that our pre-qualified bidders should plan accordingly for that milestone 1 work, and that our bidders should plan accordingly for the milestone 2 work, separate from the substantial completion, time of completion requirements. So we've put a lot of thought into this. We couldn't have done that without our partners at CPS and the Park District. That's all I wanted to say, Todd, but thank you. I commend you and your team for all the hard work on this project.
Thank you. Thank you. With this, I think we'll move on to civil, including to deal with civil site utilities and public right-of-way scope. David, are you able to unmute? David?
I thought Taylor might be on from.
Oh, Taylor?
Right. Do you hear me?
There we go.
I hear you. I hear you. I do.
Okay. Sorry about that. I had to unmute in two places. Yeah, so a lot of the site work was covered earlier, but basically, if moving from on the south end, we have the vehicular drop off of Fullerton, concrete drive there with two driveways. We have a landscape plaza with brick pavers at the entrance to the building. There is a fire lane that wraps around the site from the south to the north and east and west. There is a landscape playground. There is a portion of the site that remains untouched where the spray feature is, and that will remain untouched in this contract. Various pedestrian walks connecting the site to the building, and then a vehicular parking area just north of the building with a driveway out to Mead. If you want to flip, I can walk through the utilities real quick if that's available on the slides. Okay. So the new building will have a new water service that's tapped off of Fullerton. So that will come straight off of Fullerton with a valve basin into the south side of the building. There will also be a new sewer tap just to the west, and that is a reroute of the existing sewer line that exists on the site that picks up some of the storm and sanitary that comes out of the pool house to the west that's outside of our project. So that's something that would need to be coordinated early on because that will be a reroute of that existing line. The storm utilities will be routed to the north up to a underground concrete vault below the parking area. And that vault will discharge to Mead Avenue to the east. And that flow will be restricted and combined with the sanitary flow for one combined connection into Mead. I would point out, it was mentioned that CDOT will be reconstructing Fullerton, so the utility services will just need to be coordinated with that work for the timing of that, so there's not conflicts with that construction that's occurring and with the contractors and just both with the paving operations. And I think that's mostly it.
Thank you very much, David. Can we advance? So.
Yep, it's on the landscape.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Great. So for landscape, it is pretty much what we see here, a number of shade trees, shrubs, and perennials. Things to keep in mind really are particularly along Mead, the parkway trees there. There's a couple of utilities, I think a water line and some city electric for the street lights. So just hand dig those. That's probably the more critical thing as far as trees. Associated playground details and the playground area are shown on subsequent sheets. But pretty much, like I said, just one other thing to keep in mind now I'm thinking about it is structural soil that's required. So on the southeast side, you see the little bit denser hatch. Up, keep on going down southeast, southeast Parkway trees. Yep, right there. So I have structural soil that's required there, and on the west side of the fire lane. So where we're rebuilding that sidewalk, that's just usually a little bit more costly item and just important that's picked up. If you can go to the playground, I think it's the L2 or L1.2, I think, next sheet, if you don't mind.
It is not.
Oh, you don't have it? Okay, that's fine. Just a couple of things on the playground. There's a couple more specialty items on there. So we have some above grade timber planters, compacted limestone, or not limestone, compacted granite screenings, just a couple more things that are not typical around playgrounds. So just keep in mind those kind of details there. But other than that, that should be pretty easy.
Thank you. Todd?
Yes. All right. This sheet shows the existing field house and the link work. So what you have at the, I'm going to start actually down on the bottom right-hand side. That's the lower level of the basement. The areas that are kind of shaded in gray are areas where there's no, intensity of work other than fire alarm work. Really, you've got working from the southeast corner of this plan. The switchgear is going to be constructed in what is currently a locker room in the basement level. The transformer will be located at grade immediately to the east of this building plan east. And we're simply connecting a corridor to connect the two new stairs that will extend down to the basement level, as well as the elevator and the elevator machine room. So it's fairly limited work down there. Moving to the left-hand side, we're at the first floor. This is up about 5 feet above prevailing grade. So it's not currently barrier-free, as Cal mentioned. These two transition stairs will provide that transition for able-bodied folk, and the elevator will serve to get folks from the grade level to the first basement and second floor of the facility when it's complete. Moving up to the upper left-hand side, that's the second floor plan. It's a large ballroom with sort of a pre-functional sort of foyer before you enter and a stage at the west end. Really, the work here is just to connect this one stair up to that second level and the elevator to that second level as well. And then, of course, the incidental fire alarm work that is necessary because of this. The link stair will include a two-way voice communication system because the building is not sprinklered. It will have, sort of area of rescue assistance and two-way voice communication. And the northern wall on this link, I know this is not really north, but plan north on these drawings, is a 4-hour fire separation that separates this structure from the school. It's typically a 12-inch CMU wall, fire-rated CMU wall, but we do break that with a double A-label fire shutters, which will be will release upon notification of either the school or the field house fire alarms. The fire alarms are independent of one another, and they are different. There are two different specifications provided for that so that they conform properly to CPS's requirements and the Park District's requirements, respectively. Because the elevator cannot be rated 4 hours, we have a 4-hour, what I call a dog house. It's kind of a 1-story, 4-hour capped box with two A-label doors. It's our 4-hour vestibule at the ground floor that separates, fire separates the two structures. I think that that's sufficient for this drawing.
Okay.
Okay, we're looking here now at an overall first floor plan. I think Cal pretty clearly covered the overview with the prettier colored plans, but
Okay.
this kind of gets into the nitty gritty of the, identifying the structure, and so forth, structural lines and columns and so forth. The second floor as well, academic wing, it's served by 3 separate stairs, one on the far west, one on the far southeast, and then one on the north. The stair at the north actually goes all the way down to the ground, and it egresses directly to the outside. The other 2 stairs are served by vestibules at the ground floor. So they're constructed of CMU construction, the stair shafts are, but the typical construction is steel frame with cold form framing and brick veneer. It's per CPS standards. There is some limited curtain wall on this project that's located typically at the entrances and then at the far west end of the corridor of the academic wing. And that's really it. Otherwise, it's punched window openings and storefront systems.
The roof plan.
Yeah. Here we're looking at the building elevation. Yes, go ahead.
Click it.
Okay. Here we're looking at the building elevations. This is a lot to look at. Suffices to say, these describe the different materials. We have a 3-color brick palette. We've got a kind of a charcoal gray at the link. We've got a lighter gray or creamier gray at the top, and we've got a reddish brick that kind of complements the existing field house and carries some of the scale of the original building over. The building will, because of its height, will have a shelf angle to relieve the brick veneer. But another feature here that I wanted to call attention to is we do have limited use of a patterned brick. It's a special shape, a couple special shapes. And so on this sheet A3.2, you can see these pieces. They're used fairly limited as sort of relief between some of the windows. They're all the red colored brick, so we're not mixing brick with shapes. We're just using the pattern brick on the reddish color. It also shows up at the 1-story or 1.5-story gym stage volume to help articulate some of the scale of that structure. So please be aware of that. Next sheet, I think. Again, more of the elevations. Here you can see some of that patterned brick. It's a little bit hard to read on here at this scale, but the bottom drawing is the north facade of the gymnasium. And you can see on the left bottom side, it's got kind of a pattern on it. That's the textured brick, and the textured brick carries between the windows into the gymnasium. It reappears in a couple spots to just, again, bring some visual interest and break down the scale of the building a bit. We've got, I talked about the shelf angle. It's a full shelf angle for the academic wing. We do not have a shelf angle for the gymnasium volume. We have consulted with the Masonry Institute and have avoided that complication for the construction. So let's
see on brick type, window types.
Sure. Okay. Basically the existing field house, as you saw on the renderings, is kind of a reddish brick with some limestone. So we took some of the cues from that to create a visual break on our link. The actual stairs that we're building are actually kind of a charcoal brick, colored brick, fairly limited, just to provide a visual break from the rest of the building, because our red brick on the school will not perfectly match the existing. Nor do we want it to. So we have to provide some visual break there, and as well as the curtain wall. So in that top drawing, you can see the field house on the left. We have some of that transitory brick color and curtain wall to announce entry for the Park District entrance. And then as we go further to the right, you can see that's actually red brick with some of the patterning pieces on there. And there's a space for a public mural that is not part of the contractor's work, but is part of the community commitment. On the central drawing, we have predominantly punched windows. The north facade of the academic wing will be equipped with window guards in the exterior. However, we will not have them on the Fullerton facing elevation. The stair, there's a stair tucked in at the kind of in about a third of the way from the left on the central drawing, and that's got a little bit more glazing into it as well because of its function. Lastly, Cal mentioned that the library occurs on the second floor and has views to the north. We do have a little bit more expansive glass from that space on the second floor. Again, it's fairly subdued, but it's a bit more. So we do have some storefront there as well. I'll speak one more thing since this is up. On the bottom drawing on the right-hand side, that correlates to where the chiller is on the roof level. So the two brick walls on the outside continue up to the second floor to shield and screen the chiller, and also to help with the acoustical, containing the noise. The other two facades up on the roof level are actually an acoustic surround system to, again, mitigate noise transfer to the surrounding neighborhood. So that can be found on the details and in the specifications as you look at it. Here we have a few sections through these are all through the academic wing. Starting up at the upper left-hand side, we have two air handling units. I'll let mechanical speak exactly how the zoning works, but suffice it to say that the units are placed with bathrooms that are basically light locked off the corridor, so that we create two large shafts at each end, one for supply air and one for return. And then they distribute the air to the various floors in those shafts, either side of the bathrooms on the second and third floors. Beneath those units, to mitigate sound transfer, we have a concrete pad on the roof. The roof under the new code is required to meet a 1-hour rating. So we are spray fireproofing the steel. We are spray fireproofing the deck as well, and columns, which is a little bit different than previous schools and the old code. Let's see what else we can talk to here. I guess going down, let's look at the longitudinal sections. You can see sort of that central zone where the air handling unit occurs, kind of in the middle of the structure, and one on either side of the corridor, as you can see on that top drawing, and distributes down to the lower levels. We have, as per the CPS standards, we have the typical solid surface wall protection wainscoting on the first floor. Also lockers to also prevent damage to the gypsum board walls. Again, this is following metal stud framing and gypsum board. It's with the abuse resistant type material, but the first floor gets added protection with the solid surfacing. One thing that may be worth noting is that we've created, because of the unique pedagogy of this school for self-directed learning in Reggio Emilia educational paradigm, they wanted to introduce some art walls and technology walls. So we created a couple recesses off the corridors, just a few inches, and incorporated some infrastructure for display or for art. And so you can see that in the central drawing, about a third of the way from the right. There's a couple boxes kind of shown there. Those are sort of those represent those wall recesses between the lockers. Structures, as I said, steel frame, lateral bracing system is braced frames. So we tried to take advantage of those braced frame zones to create these art zones and technology zones. Yes, moving on, thank you. Here we're cutting through sort of the main hallway, the main entry hallway, looking at the gym and stage at the top, and back at the field house, obviously in the background. The lower drawing is a longitudinal section with the stage at the right-hand side and the kitchen servery zone on the left-hand side with the chiller above. Again, because we're fire separating the field house from the school, we have a 4-hour wall that's required to extend 3 feet above the roof surfaces. So we've achieved that with CMU and brick above where it extends taller. The elevator and the stair that extend to the second floor of the ballroom, obviously that's in excess of that 3 feet, but we do have some roof transfer ladders and roof hatches to get access to the roof and over the parapets and up to the high roof, etc. The stage area is elevated about 3 feet above the, it's 35 inches above the first floor, and we have a stage lift that is associated with that. Just speaking of vertical transportation, it may have been clear, but maybe it wasn't clear. There are 2 separate elevators plus the platform lift in the stage. One for the Park District building, one for CPS, and one for obviously the stage lift for the stage. Here we're looking at a section and plans and sections through the link connection. That top drawing on the right-hand side, we're cutting through the 2 stairs and we're cutting through sort of the elevator vestibule looking toward the school. So above the roof, you can see that 3-foot firewall. But the ground level, so this drawing extends down to the basement level. So we're connecting the basement up to the first floor, and then we're connecting it back down to the grade level. So all floors are connected, but the stair that's on the left-hand side extends to all levels, whereas the stair on the north side is really a transition stair for access to the gymnasium from the field house. Okay, now we're getting into the mechanical plans, so I'll turn it over to DBHMS to talk a little bit about the mechanical systems. One thing I will point out, another new requirement that came in with the new code is smoke vents over the stage. So what you see, those three boxes there, those are smoke vents that are a newer addition to the way we've been building these schools for CPS and PBC. So just want to call attention to that as well. The one thing I will say before I kind of pass the baton on, we're looking at a few, roof drains here. There's a main drain and an overflow drain at each location, and then we also, in each roof area, we have a connection to a lamb's tongue, so that if there is a clog, there will be some indication that there's a problem. So look for that on the plumbing drawings further on down the line. Thank you. Ben or Syed?
Yeah, Todd, we're both here. I think I'll let Syed lead the mechanical. I know we also have electrical and technology on the call, and it looks like I'll take care of the plumbing and fire protection then.
Great.
Thank you. This is Syed, DBHMS. So the mechanical system of the building consists of one chiller, like Todd was describing, located above the kitchen area, and two high efficiency condensing boilers, and it's hot water system and chill water system. So it's the 2-pipe system. We'll get chill water in summer and hot water in winter through those pipes. And on the air side, the building, this academic wing is divided into east and west. Basically, so we have divided building into half. So one air handling unit is served the east half of the building, and the other air handling unit serve the west half of the building. And these two rooftop units are basically VAV system, and we have VAV boxes for the classroom for zone controls. And those VAV boxes will have hot water read as well. We are also showing some of the exhaust fans on the roof for either for the science lab or for the bathroom area. Next slide. Okay, the first slide we saw before was for the gymnasium that is also served by a separate air handling unit, and we have a 1, 2, 3, 4. We have fourth air handling unit that serves the kitchen area only. So that's how the building is divided for ventilation. This here, what you see is the piping flow diagram for the chiller and boiler system, and also this diagram is showing the gas going to all those equipment for heating. This building is going to get a full building automation system, and all the mechanical equipment will be controlled by the management system. And this is basically showing the control riser diagram for the control system. This is it. This is, I believe, this is plumbing sheet.
Yeah, it looks like we've jumped over to the plumbing riser diagram here. I don't know if we have the first floor plan available. I believe that the civil already covered the new water service and sewer work outside the building. This is a little small to show any of the details for the water heaters. So maybe we can advance the slides here. See if we have the first floor sheet.
I don't believe the first floor sheet is a part of it. I think it's just a series of schedules.
Sure thing, sure thing. So it's a new domestic water service that splits between plumbing and fire. We have new water heaters for the school, electric water closets. I think the level of detail for the size here will make it a little bit hard. Yeah, Todd pointed out the storm drain situation with the lamb tongues discharging to daylight to help avoid blocked up roof drains. Yeah, I think we can advance. And I believe that's showing, is that the storm trap or the grease trap there?
This is fire protection.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is fire protection. So yeah, we have a new fire pump branch and distribution to all areas of the building, including the gymnatorium, which does not have fixed seating. So that doesn't trigger that standpipe requirement there. There we go. So there's a little more detail on the electrical. We do have the site plan present for electrical. So Sal, could you tell us about the design here?
Yeah, that's.
Thanks, Sal. Yep, you're here now.
Basically, we're going to have two service, a service upgrade for the field house and a new service for the school.
We're also going to bring both phone and cable are under the low voltage conduits underneath Mead and extend them to the property line. Obviously, internet service will be brought all the way into the building. That's that heavy dark line that's shown kind of cutting through the building, which goes up to the second floor MDF room. So but the field house components, they already have those services. So there it's just being capped at the property line. And we anticipate that it will be the contractor's work to install the conduits beneath Mead. Whereas ComEd, I believe, will install their own line. Go ahead. Sorry, Salva.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it for the service. We got connection for the fire pump, and I guess site lighting for the parking lot, the new parking lot, and lighting along the building for for the just general surrounding lighting for the new building. We can move on. Yeah, this is just the single line diagram, basically explaining what the design is. We have your main service coming in, then we have main distribution to for the school, and for the we're showing the upgrade for the field house, and then we have panels for the different levels of the design for the school. We have clean power and normal power, of course, for the clean power for the technology aspect of the design, and then normal power for the receptacles, and then we also have panels for the distribution panels for the mechanical, segregated just for mechanical.
I think that is the last drawing that we have covered, Todd. Is there anything else you want to cover?
Yeah, I wanted to underscore a couple things on the finishes. I encourage everybody to examine the finish schedule and the finish plans. There are a couple atypical conditions here. One of them is that this gymnasium, because of its shared use, is not a wood athletic floor as we often see on the new construction elementary schools. They're going to have lunch and so forth. They're going to need clean up in there. So it's got a sheet athletic flooring in there. And another atypical, in lieu of SVT, which is, that has been going in the classrooms and in the corridors, this school will get vinyl composition tile, VCT. And the kindergarten rooms will get a rubber tile in lieu of VCT or SVT. So it's all on there in the finish schedule, but do engage that. The special thematic space and the stage do get a kind of a stage flooring material. So there will be a slab depression for the special thematic room to provide that assembly and have barrier-free access. I think the rest of the finishes are pretty consistent with the standards. So I don't think that there's any other notable adjustments. So,
hey, Todd.
Yes.
Sorry, I thought you were finishing your thought. I didn't mean to cut you off. I was going to mention briefly about our sustainable goals for the project. Before we got too far from MEP, you might want to say something about that in terms of materials as well. So do keep in mind for all the bidders that our schedules reflect, for plumbing, the flow rates required, for our mechanical equipment, the efficiencies required. Of course, the specifications contain alternate manufacturers, but do keep in mind if you submit products by one of the alternate manufacturers to take into consideration those energy efficiency and water savings requirements that are noted in the schedules to meet our sustainability targets.
Ben, if I can add on that, there is also a follow-up, which will be the lighting control matrix, which will reflect the requirements for the sustainability. So that is coming.
Okay, so I think, Laurie, that effectively concludes our tech review of the documents, of the systems, components, and architecture. Do you want to entertain some questions now and go back to the original slide to continue?
Yes, if you just stop sharing, we'll open it up to Q&A if we have any questions. So far, I didn't see any in the chat, but you may unmute yourself and ask away. Any questions, concerns, issues you saw in the drawings, issues with the printer, issues understanding the bid form, questions about teaming together? I do want to acknowledge out of our list that we had a couple of general contractors join. So Old Vet, George Solid, and Passion joined after. So we have a total of 8 general contractors on the line. Okay, so what we're going to do is, again, if you have any questions, please submit them to Patricia Montenegro at City of Chicago. Email.
Lori?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry. I believe we also have Blenderman, Brian Gundlach. So a total of 9.
Okay, thank you. We will have the sign-in sheet. We will have this video. We will have the presentation that was provided, and we will link it to the current opportunities page. That is also where you will find our addenda, are located on that same page. We will try to send out an alert as well for the addenda. So please make sure, if you have not signed up for that, do so. But James, if you could do me a favor before we end, can you put the current opportunities link in the chat? That is where all the information will be housed. Again, in order to bid on this project, you have to be one of the Class A pre-qualified contractors, or you can team with them. We are looking forward to see some cool teams. You're going to make sure on your bid form you fill out the bid properly. You fill out those critical trades. You look at your decimal points and the addition for the award criteria. You're going to make sure all those Schedule Ds and Cs are attached. And we are going to look forward for your submission May 7th currently. Again, that may change by addendum, so please be alert for that. Last call for questions. Okay.
Lori?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I did have specific inquiries about firms who are not Class A. So I know that you did mention that only PBC pre-qualified Class A bidders are eligible to bid. And please refer to that sign-in sheet for those firms who are eligible pre-qualified firms, so that you have opportunities to joint venture. I just wanted to reiterate that. Thank you.
No worries. I am going to, while we sign out, I'm going to put that list back up as soon as I can get it together. Again, only one of the parties have to be on this list that is shown on the screen. Again, KR Miller wants to partner with Lori's Construction because they are the best. And KR Miller and could be 15% and Lori could be 85% as an example, as long as one of the parties submitting the bid is on this list. So hopefully that gives a little clarification for that. And again, we're going to need, we have a lot of our subcontractors on this call. Please make sure general contractors, they know how to contact you so they can submit their bids. For example, if there's a steel erector, they want to provide the bids to multiple general contractors as they put together their total bid. Okay. Well, we look forward to receiving multiple bids for this project. We have a couple more on the horizon, so make sure you sign up for PBC alerts, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.